It's time for Around the Ozarks News, brought to you by the Springfield-Greene County Park Board, Blue Current, and Thompson Sales. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Foreheads.
Hey there, good morning to you on Thursday. Hope you're doing well. Today is March Madness. It started, earlier, but the real thing starts today. So I'm excited about that. And maybe some of you are too. Hope your brackets go well. Hope mine goes better.
Yeah.
Let's do some news.
I hope that your bracket goes well. I also hope that our connection goes well because the wind is causing all sorts of issues, not only with power, but with internet. So I can see you, I can hear you, but just FYI. Okay, evacuations are happening in Douglas County. As of yesterday, a wildfire really took off. So you'll recall how windy it was. That is no good when fighting fire. The fire started in Squires, just south of Ava. The volunteer fire department there had to ask people in that area to leave their homes. Multiple fire crews came out. They were working to get everything under control. Meanwhile, as mentioned, power was out for many parts of the Ozarks. Honestly, crews still working on it in some parts, but the high winds was actually not only knocking down lines, but in some places, power poles. Even in Springfield near Lake McDaniel, some of the crews had to replace the poles. That's just one area of several hit around the Ozarks, no matter where you're at. If you see a downed power line, make sure you treat it as live, which means don't touch it. Just call 911. And I did end a sentence with a prepositional phrase at. I do know better, but I didn't know if Ethan was going to jump on my case. I had like 2 or 3 people stop me and tell me that they thanked me for correcting your grammar last week. And it made me laugh because I know that it's sometimes hard to think of it on the fly, especially like ending a sentence with at, or from. Where are you from? Anyway, sorry. That's
as long as you acknowledge it.
Yes, I did. There you go. Okay, now to this, really no reason to think it's wind related necessarily, but there was a house fire yesterday in Springfield. That person still in critical condition. It was on South New Avenue. Firefighters went in, found that person in bad shape, who was then transported to the hospital. They are working on figuring out the cause of the fire, but the investigators say that they do not believe that there were any working smoke alarms inside.
Hate to hear that. This is interesting. Missouri law now states you have to be hands-free while you're using a cell phone in a car if you're driving. Since that law started being enforced at the beginning of the year, the Missouri Highway Patrol now says it's issued more than 300 tickets for that, which is interesting because they kind of have to catch you in the act. They have to see you.
They do, because it's like the secondary law. So they can't pull you over just for that. But I mean, if they see it and there's any other type of like moving violation, speeding, whatever, I don't know. It's secondary is my point, but still.
But it's still hard to see. I would think it'd be hard to see somebody. I wonder how you prove that or disprove it in a court of law, because it's basically just, I guess you could look at the phone's data if you really got into it and find out exactly what time.
Yes, they can pull all of that.
But then you'd have to
I learned that from being a reporter. No, it's time of day. Like they stamp the time of day on their car, and your cell phone, if you get a detailed printout, tells you exactly what time you were doing what.
That you were pulled over or doing the violation.
So if you get pulled over at 4:00 in the afternoon, the police officer who's pulling you over has to mark that. There's a mark in his car that he's like, I'm pulling someone over right now. So everybody knows. The department knows. The computer system recognizes at what time you were getting pulled over. And if you called your cell phone company and got your bill, you could see exactly what time a text was sent or received or read or internet usage, data usage, all of that. I mean, it's kind of a pain probably for them, although they might have a system that I'm totally unaware of. All I know is that the time thing is not hard. There have been timestamps on that for a long, long time.
Well, it's just interesting because, I mean, sometimes I will have a video podcast up, like on YouTube, that I'm listening to in the car, but it's video. It's just sitting down in the console and not watching it, but the video is playing. So I wonder, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's I'm
Like
just
proof that you were looking down at it?
how do they prove? And better yet, I mean, the burden becomes on me because I gotta prove that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Instead of
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that because they would know that you were streaming the data now, but since it's a secondary offense, you would have had to be doing something else, like maybe not taking off when the light turns green,
well,
perhaps
speeding
uh,
more likely.
speeding, or uh, what I see is like the lane switching, like what am I saying? Going over the line, like not maintaining your lane. That's the word. Not maintaining
Right.
your lane.
But yeah, I'm just saying if I'm not looking, if I'm driving on, like, go to Kansas City, I do that a lot for soccer. So if I'm driving to Kansas City and I happen to be speeding, so a cop pulls me over and notices that YouTube is running on my phone. I wasn't watching YouTube. I was listening to a podcast on YouTube
Hmm.
or a sermon or whatever I'm doing. It feels like I would have to prove that I wasn't if they say that I was, but I don't know. I don't know because I don't think there's camera proof of that on the cop's part.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. I'm just curious about it. So
A
there you go.
whole new
Try that.
world.
Anyway, Highway Patrol, we digressed there for a few minutes. The Highway Patrol issued 300 tickets or so for drivers doing that. Of course, you can talk on your phone and utilize it through Bluetooth. You're just not supposed to be scrolling or texting while you're driving. If you do get a ticket, they start at $150. First offense, go up to $500 for the third offense. And if the worst happens and you kill somebody or are part of a crash in which someone dies, the distracted driver could get up to 7 years in prison. So it's serious business. The Trump
Indeed.
administration says there's been way too much fraud in the Social Security system, so now there will be some more steps for recipients to collect. If you cannot verify your identity online, and there's options to do that, if you can't do that, you'll have to visit a field office in person to prove your identity. Starts at the end of this month. Another new law bars beneficiaries from changing their bank account information by phone. You'd also have to do that either online or in person. And online is available for that. So some changes to try to cut down on fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Just me? Oh, it is me.
This is you. Yeah.
I already was taking off my glasses. It's near congratulations, almost congratulations to Drury. We're preparing you for a congratulatory announcement to come. They're getting close to hitting their $50 million goal for fundraising campaign. And they're getting, well, they probably will end there much earlier than they anticipated when they started out. It's called the Fortify the Future campaign. It started in 2022. And the money that's being raised will go towards scholarships, building upgrades on campus, and various student programs at Drury University.
It's awesome because it's sooner than they thought. And who doesn't love that kind of news?
It's always nice. It's always nice.
It is. It's good. Well, this is our final story. He said it would happen, and it did. The Trump administration halted public funding to the University of Pennsylvania, halting $175 million in federal funds. Why, you ask? Well, it's because the university apparently defied Trump's order and allowed biological men at birth to play in women's sports. So now apparently this is not all of the federal funding that UPenn gets, but it is the majority of it. UPenn, the Trump admin says, still stands at risk of losing all of it, pending an investigation into potential Title IX violations.
Okay. It is a thing, right?
It is a thing. It's a thing. It was in, I believe, early February that was an executive order, and most universities, including those in Missouri, have followed suit, but apparently UPenn has not.
Well, there's a cost to taking a stand if that's what you want to do.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, right. Good, bad, and ugly. There is a cost to taking a stand always. So, okay. All right. Well, that's it. And make sure that you are careful outside with the crazy wind. Tune in for Abby Dyer.
Well,
How
it's
about the
not
wild Missouri weather that
it's
we
not
have
as
had?
bad today. That's the good news. The wind is not nearly as bad today.
Right. But it's still dry. And then it
It's
was
still dry.
cold. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I mean, who knows what you're going to get. So,
Yep. We
yep.
need some
Wake Up
rain.
Weather with Abby is next.
Yep. Stay tuned and have a great Thursday. We'll see you back here Friday.
Bye.